Sorry about that. Well, hello. And sorry about that. Yeah, we are back. It's another Wednesday. It is time to rank another puzzle game for the Game Boy. Last week we added Kirby's Star Stacker to the list, which brought us up to a top 50. It is 50 games. And we've still got plenty more to go. We recently added another one to the list, so we've got even more to go. But today we are going to be ranking Sanrio Carnival 2. So if we look here, let's take a peek here at the list. We got right here at number 23 was Sanrio Carnival. A kind of janky game that just turned out to be maybe a little better than it had right to be, or at least more interesting than good, but it was enjoyable. I enjoyed it. I did take a peek at the attract mode of Sanrio Carnival 2 while I was getting set up here. I have a general idea of what we're about to be in for, although let's just see. And copyright 1976, 84, 85, 86, 88, and 93, Sanrio. Copyright 1993, Mario. Hey, so Mario worked on this. Alright, so that's two-player mode. We can't do that. What? This is a slide puzzle. Oh, this is not a good interface for a slide puzzle. Again, like, nothing against slide puzzles or tile puzzles or whatever you want to call them in and of themselves. This is not a good way of doing it. This is arguably worse than Frankie, Joe, and Dirk on the tiles. At least the picture is readable. Oh, okay, I'm gonna reset because I don't want to do more of this. I thought I was going to an options screen. What's this one? Another tile puzzle, but with numbers. Okay. Reset again. Is this an option? This is character select. And we're gonna go with the froggy. What? Why is there a blank space? Okay, I'm just gonna start picking the options in proper order. So apparently there isn't I don't think there's an options menu here. Let's just do the first one. Stage. Okay, so that's a valid strategy. Alright. There is a kind of logic to this. Okay, so that particular flower is complete, so I guess that means we should focus on the other patterns a little more. Oh, we got 3 of those. You don't want 3 of those. What? Oh. Wait. Why are we doing... Is there no way to skip this? Do I have to? Is this like part of the game? I was kind of hoping this was just a bonus stage. Still not altogether loving the controls on this. When the time runs out, can I stop? Oh gosh darn. Hey Levi. Okay, so it looks like there's a 4th one. And now I'm playing as this guy. Well, those 2 patterns look very similar. Oh, do they... Okay, so it seems like... Yeah, so they don't punish you for the stack hitting the top. That's good to know, at least. It looks like there is a time limit. So there's a way to get 4 in a row, there's probably a way to get 5 in a row. Okay, those 2 are done. And there really is no way to skip this, huh? Yeah, it's not unusual for tile puzzles to have slightly awkward controls. This is probably the worst I've ever seen it. This is madness. Well, at least there's no actual penalty for failing. This part's alright. It looks a little confusing at first, but no, this is doable. I can get 4 in a row. This is probably a way to get 5 in a row if I'm sort of committed to figuring it out. And I'm not. There are certain moves that I keep expecting that I'll be able to make that I am not. And I take it those are garbage blocks. Not sure what causes those to start appearing. Oh, maybe it's... Yeah, if you make a match that you've already finished? Yeah, I think that's what it is. So... have to kind of be cautious not to kind of make redundant matches here. Alright then, this just got challenging. Oh, now I'm running out of time. Okay. And your punishment is another slide puzzle. No. I didn't mean to hit continue. I want to try the other modes. I think I'm helping him more than I mean to here. I think that helped me, somehow. Oh, okay. Oh, nope, I did that thing again. Okay, let me go on record as saying I don't much care for versus mode. Alright, and the third one was just endless, right? That was the idea? Well, this piled up fast. I feel like I'm not being given a whole lot of options here. Oh, wait, whoa, what just happened? Pushing the other button moves them down one space. Okay. I think that just caused me to make an even bigger mess. Maybe I'm supposed to be using the one space? Like, sticking to the two spaces the way I have been is actually not the way you... I don't know. So does this just not have a fail state? What is going on here? Okay, well, I guess we have to reset. Okay, yeah, I get the feeling this is probably how I was expected to play this. Those two sides are still... Oh, does the other button do anything different? No, the other button doesn't do anything at all. That's at least contributing to part of my confusion with the controls. At least the music isn't quite as broken on this part. Wouldn't mind being able to skip this. Well, if I need another bathroom break, the game does provide in that sense. This would also be a bit more playable with color. I don't think that's a particularly shocking observation. Okay, light stripe and solid green. So we still have to... It's solid brownish and dark stripe. Whoa. Okay. Okay, game, there's not a lot I can do until you cooperate. Okay, getting 5 in a row clears the whole board. That's what happened. This does get a little hard to read at a certain point. Nope. Wrong move. Additional wrong move, okay. Okay, stop clearing those ones. And those ones. Oof, okay. Okay, I think all that's left are the solid greens. So... Notes, Chrome, Dock. Huh. Guess maybe I could use a display capture, but that's probably not worth it. The amount of cropping I'd have to do in particular. Just so you know, I have a stopwatch running. This week we've got strawberry watermelon. Those are good indeed. A third one here. Vapor Slime Tape Volume 40 drops on Sunday. Check the calendar. Yeah, that's right, Sunday, March 1st. First of every month. Alright, so that's around 3 minutes. Unskippable. Which is quite possibly more time than you get in Frankie, Joe, and Dirk on the Tiles. Well, I'm going to play one more round because I was a little late getting started. Okay, so light stripes and dark solid. And if you don't give me those, there's not a whole lot I can do. Now we're just kind of praying to the god of random numbers to sort this out for us. And he did not provide. Nothing I can do, game. Might as well let the time run out. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. It's a very simple tune. You can easily hum along. Okay. I will say there's a certain logic to it. You push the things, and then the things fall. The early parts of each stage make a lot of sense. The stuff falls down, you hit it with the hammer and slide it across. And then you match the three and they disappear, and then it starts to build up, and the logic that held it together kind of starts to fall apart. This feels like somebody had an idea and I'm guessing they weren't given a lot of time to work on the game. That's the sort of thing I mean, again, that's just pure assumption on my part. I don't know. But to me, this feels like a game where they had a concept, and then that concept wasn't completely fleshed out. The big warning sign to me is the time limit. The fact that you can get into a situation where you are well aware of the fact that the board is effectively unwinnable, but you have to wait for the time to run out anyway. That, again, to me, that really suggests that more time was needed to just sort of work out how this was all supposed to operate. And then on top of that, you have these sliding tile puzzles between each stage, and you can't skip them. You don't need to do them. They're just for bonus points. You can't skip them, and it's like you just have to sit there and wait out 3 minutes for the thing to end. The AI in versus mode is kind of merciless. To be fair, that is, to some extent, I don't really know what the heck I'm doing, so, you know, we'll call that a wash. But yeah, this was not very good, ultimately. And the first Sanrio Carnival, in all honesty, to be completely fair, the first Sanrio Carnival also kind of felt like it wasn't fully fleshed out, but it was a much more derivative idea. You know, it was the falling blocks. It was, you know, it was a Dr. Mario clone. Essentially, the blocks fall, you match the shapes. And so, even though it wasn't necessarily a particularly strong concept or game, it still worked. It still worked well enough that I came back to it a couple times, played it some more. I don't hate it. This sequel, I think, just doesn't work. And that's kind of where that ultimately lands for me. And so, it's not as good as the first game. Similar problem to Godzilla, but nowhere near as bad. The tile puzzles are optional, so it's better than Frankie, Joe, and Dirk. Is it better or worse than Cool Ball? it's an interesting question. I don't think it's... Well, let's move up a little bit here and say, yeah, it's not as good as this slightly messed up port of Lemmings. It's not as good as the Humans. It's not quite as good as the Bust-A-Move games, though... Well, actually, the Bust-A-Move games have readability problem. I would say this also had a slight readability problem. That's another thing. This game in color would have been at least a little... Well, unless you have color perception issues, then we're back to square one, but for me, this game with color would have been a little more readable. So, yeah, it's got that same problem, which was also an issue with Puyo Puyo. Ishido, Way of the Stones, had some... It's just not a... Other versions of Ishido are similar to that. You know, they would... I found a little more playable. No, I think it really does come back down to, is it better or worse than Cool Ball? And I think it's worse. I think we're looking in this range right here. And... Similar problem to Square Deal. It is a little more comprehensible than Splits. And these two games here, the Game of Harmony and Dexterity, they technically made sense. They were a little too difficult, in my opinion, but they did make sense. Well, this game also... I mean, it does make sense, I guess. Here's where it's landing. Sanrio Carnival 2 is our new number 46 on the list. That is a considerable drop from Sanrio Carnival 1 up here at number 23. I'd still recommend that game. It's not amazing, but I had fun with it. This game... I was just kind of waiting for it to end. So, that's pretty much that. And that's... And that's pretty much me as well for this evening. We'll just take a quick look to see who's online. Spirit... Oh, it looks like there's some Cuso Grande going on. So let's hop on over there. Yeah, so I will be back tomorrow night with some live improvised music. I will be back on Saturday night with music production. I will be back on Monday to play some more Azure Dreams and Dungeon Explorer for the TurboGrafx. And I will also be back on Tuesday with some more of the map drawing game, Etrian Odyssey, and we'll have a new puzzle game this time next week. So until then, thanks for coming by, thanks for hanging out, and thank you, Levi, for saying hello. And as always, I do hope to see you next time. So bye for now.